Hello everyone, this is Nefono Kabwe, just in front of my fish ponds. So in today's video I'll be taking you along to a refresher course at Breathing Fish Farm. You know, we have been facing so many challenges as newbie fish farmers, and we know those challenges. Some of them are to do with the quality of fingerlings, the expenses in feed and the like. So today's refresher course is just to remind us on how to manage to raise our fish to the required weight. So I'll be taking you along. Let's go. And by the way, for those that don't know, Breathing Fish Farm is owned by Dr. Kachaka. He is a fish farming guru. He has trained so many people, and he also does fish farming. His place is used as a center of excellency. A lot of students from universities go there to do their practical training. But like I said, he has trained so many people, including myself. There are many cars, but it looks like they have not started yet. So we need to find Dr. Kachaka and ask him what he thinks about the challenges that we've been facing as new fish farmers. And also if he can give us a bit of an intro to what we are expecting from this training.
Fish farming in Zambia is developing, and we have a lot of people who are trained now. We thought the industry is growing, but apparently we have had a bit of challenges in the industry that a number of our fish farmers have lamentably failed to grow fish to table size. And table size we mean between 300 grams and 400 grams average body weight. Now, the challenge in the industry is that if the fish fails to grow to that level, the whole venture becomes a disaster, a loss. Sadly, we have had a number of fish farmers who are discouraged. They have lost their investments, their energies, and their resources. And some have abandoned the venture altogether. And yet, we still have a few others who are doing so well. And they are reaping from the same venture, same training. And hence, we are saying, no, it's important that we revisit the issue so that we can share experiences on how to grow fish to table size. And hence the need for these refresher courses, the training of trainers, so that we can share experiences and fill in the blanks to lift up others who are struggling to achieve the goal of growing fish to table size. Hence the course we're having today. So this course, I say, is perhaps the most important, because now it hinges and focuses only how do you grow fish to table size. Okay, and that is the key in this lesson today. The profit of the farmer is from the size of the fish. So if your fish are small, it's a loss. You may fail to recover any money that you invested because the fish has failed to grow. It's a loss. It's frustrating. Some of the farmers I have met became emotional and were crying. Why? They took a loan, invested the loan in the fish, and the fish failed to grow. After 8 months, the fish has failed to grow. It's just 200 grams, only 200 grams. And they need 7 fish to make a kg. It's a loss. It's painful, and hence the need to have this course now. Are there any challenges we are facing? So now we're beginning to go through each point. We visited a number of ponds. The ponds are not okay. They are poorly dug. Question is how? Ma pond enangu aya, they don't have a slope. The pond is flat, straight. Fish in this pond fails to grow bigger. Flat, straight. The pond must have a slope like that. Gradient. So, number 1. 2, still on this point. The size of the deeper part of the pond. How big is the deeper part of the pond? Muzapeza your pond yanu. The deeper portion is very, very small. The pond is big, fine. But the deepest part is very at the end only, it's a problem. The deeper part is the game changer, because in the deeper part we have more water. So fish spends more time there to swim, to go up, to swim, to go down like that, to swim, to go horizontal, and to pindamuka. You see now, there is space. But for you, space is not there. The deeper part of the pond, we told you already, is 40% of the length of the pond. You put more effort on the deeper part of the pond because the fish will be spending more time there. It's called the area of growth. The deeper part of the pond, the area for growth. For you, we go and check your ponds. Find that the larger part of the pond is the shallow part of the pond. The deeper part is just like a small space cabe at the end. There is no harm if but half of the pond is the deeper part. No harm. Better still okay. If you are able to make about a half of the pond, beginning in the middle, going becomes a deeper portion of the pond. Meaning what? The deeper part of the pond, we want the water level to be at 1.5 meters. Then the fish is able to swim. Second point is the depth of the pond. More importantly, really, it's not so much about the depth of the pond, but really the height of the water. The water level in terms of height is very important. On the second point, you discover that here is a pond well dug and well made and constructed, nicely done. Slope is there. The deeper part big enough. Everything is okay about the pond. Beautiful pond. But the water is less. The level of the water is very low in a very good pond. Fish needs water. It doesn't need the pond, it's the water. The pond is nicely done, but the water level is very, very, very low. So the fish is not unable to swim the way it must swim. So according to the fish, there is no space of growth. It reduces its body size to suit the environment. So Somba's Udia, no growth. Why? The water level is very low. Maintaining the level of the water at 1.5 meters or more throughout until harvest. Yes, in the beginning, as the fingerlings are stocked, we need only a little water. See now, when we are stocking, let the water be less. Because if the water is too much at stocking, the fingerlings will be losing energy as they are swimming in a large volume of water. The growth rate of the fingerlings will be low in the beginning. The fingerlings are coming out of the hatchery, they were on a tray, and you are putting them in a pond full of water. So the pressure of the water is making them lose energy, and you find the growth rate is poor in the first 2 months. As the fingerlings are growing, we keep increasing the water. As they are growing, we keep increasing the water. The moment the fish has grown up to 50 grams or more, let the pond be full of water at 1.5 meters or higher throughout until harvest, to allow the fish to swim the way it requires to do. It swims, it goes upward like that. Down. It swims also horizontal. Free motion. And also it can turn like that. No? Space is available. If your water level is lower, then it must be at 1.5. If you are able to go up to 2 meters, better. The 2 meters is the standard first. So we are saying if you are able simply to reach up to 1.5 meters as water level throughout, it's still okay. The fish will grow because we have enough water. So let's not have a situation where the pond is big and the water level is very low. The third pond, living and dead water. Some of the water is called dead water and some of the water is called living water. Living water entails what? Fish requires to grow in living waters, not in dead waters. Living waters is water which is flowing and moving, because all the dirt is being swept away. Fecal matter for fish, all the debris is being swept away. Mans are clean all the time. That is the water where fish can grow. The stagnant water is called dead water, because there is no refreshment of the water. Now you have captured a few waters and put them like this and close them. How does fish grow in dead water? You know, yeah, it's dead water. water. So we should find a way of creating living waters in the fish pond. So this means what? Every week, drain some water, put in fresh water on a weekly basis. Create some form of living water. If you are able, the best is let water flow on a daily basis. That's why we say the best way of doing this fish farming is near a river or a stream. Fourth point, room for growth. At times, as fish farmers, we get very excited. We want to put more and more fingerlings in the pond. More than the pond is able to accommodate. We overstock the fingerlings. And as a result, we run in trouble of space. The issue here is this. As you are stocking, because it's fingerlings, they are small. So it would appear as if our pond is big enough. Fish are small, so the fish is swimming after it is fitting. It's just in one corner. The fish is in one corner, yes. The moment the fish begins to grow, the pond becomes smaller and smaller as the fish is growing. And the space now for fish to grow, no space, and the fish reduces its size, body weight, to fit in the available space. Why? You overstock. You lose even the smallest thing you had. Fish requires room or space for growth. So we are saying, if you are a beginner, this I've always said, stocking for you is 5 fingerlings per square meter. This I keep repeating, 5 fingerlings per square meter. That should be your stocking density. Don't stock beyond that. You are beginning. Don't overstock the pond. Full stop. If you are very experienced, okay, never go beyond 8 fingerlings per square meter. No. Experienced fish farmers have grown from 5 to 6 to 7. Stop at 8. We are stuck at 8. Then there is adequate space for fish to grow. In short, we are saying avoid overcrowding the fish in the pond. Pond is a cheaper and the muzali lafuta. No somba zato nani sizi kula, we have lost the money, we took a loan, what. But bwana, simusatira, these maramulwa. And if the pond is overstocked, don't waste time. Drain some water, reduce the number of fish in that pond. You transfer some, because if you keep them, the size will be very small at harvest and we lose. That's why all fish farmers, even if we have only a single pond, let there be another smaller pond spare. It will be needed to solve the matters in the bigger pond. The water quality, especially these two elements, the pH of the water and the dissolved oxygen. The pH of the water requires, as you know already, to be in that range, 6.5 up 9.0. pH, as you know already, is a measure for acidity or alkalinity of the medium. Fish farmers are a bit careless. You find that the fish farmer is not bothered to test the pH of the water, busy feeding the fish without the knowledge of the pH of the water. Even here, the managers here are very experienced, but to test the pH of the water is a problem. So, if the pH of the water in the pond is not in that range, the fish are stressed already. So you find that the fish is living under stress many days. The fish is under stress because either the pH is too high or it's too low. The time you see that the fish is dying, it means it has been under stress for a long time. It now begins to die. So in the period of stress, the fish will not grow. Simple, it won't grow. So you find the fish is under stress for many days and weeks. It's just under stress because the pH of the water is either low, below 6.5, or too high, beyond the 9.0 level. And therefore, we always say fish farmers need to have a pH meter. That instrument is required. If you are able, you test the pH every day and write in the book. If you are unable, at least per week, test the pH of the water and write in the book that particular one. Then dissolved oxygen. It should be always between 4 to 11 milligrams per liter. Now, do a test. Go to your pond early in the morning or late evening, say around 18 hours or slightly below there. If you are seeing the fish are gasping for air, it's a sign we don't have enough of dissolved oxygen in the pond. It will be worse in the night for the fish. So sick ones, the fish are struggling. Breathing is difficult. To sick ones, fish are suffocating until Zuwa Manjabwe. Then we now have what? Enough oxygen. And fish now breathing. Because of that struggle they go through in the night, because of less oxygen, the growth rate will be very poor. If you see that, the solution is either reduce the number of fish, you put some fish in another pond, or if you are able, increase the fresh water, or buy an aerator, put an aerator in that pond to increase on oxygen at night. So that is a real struggle. Sixth point, consistency of feeding fingerlings. You start starving the fingerlings because you have not bought feed yamana, and you are waiting. I think I'll buy after 3 days. There are two things here. There is what is called the growth mode. The moment the fingerlings are stocked, okay, and feeding starts, fingerlings will enter in the growth mode. They begin to grow and the bones begin to expand. The moment you stop the feeding, because feed is not there, the fish will recline back in the non-growth mode. Bones will begin to shrink again. Now, to come and begin again, to put them back in the growth mode will take a lot of time. So, you are failing the fish. Especially at the fingerling stage. It's very crucial there. So, we are saying in the first 2 months, feed should be there each time. In the first 2 months, let the fish be fed throughout. The only day of resting is 1 day. That's fine. So the fish is growing already. Don't stop or inhibit the growth. You accelerate it. If feed is not there, then in the third month, because the fish is now big, it can now eat even things around the pond. It can maneuver easily. The bones of the fish, they have already stretched at this point. So no big worry now. So even in your budgeting, you budget that the first 2 months, feed should always be there. So 3 months, if now the feed is a challenger, it's okay. Yeah, I can get in Azola weed and give them. Give Azola weed, I can stay a week, I have no money, so it's okay. I go around, I visit, I check the feeding. Now it's 3 days, feed is in Abwere. At my boss, there's no money until on Thursday. And the fish are still at 2 grams. You are making your fish to be stunted yourself. You are stunting the fish yourself. The fish will be stunted in your own pond because there is no feed and the fingerlings are still small, so it's a challenge. Feed ration is number 7. Feed ration, as we know already, is the quantity of feed to give the fish per day. The challenges we have under feed ration are 2 things. Either we overfeed the fish or we underfeed. So I won't go into that area. So if per day the feed ration is 1 kg, then you stick to that because it's based on the body weight of the fish plus the number of the fish in the pond. Now because you want the fish to grow faster, then I'm giving them 3 kg. You are what? You are overfeeding the fish. Yeah. So do this. You get your cast net, throw it in the pond, and catch some more fish. Check on their stomachs. You find that the stomach is swelling. So if the stomachs of the fish are swelling, it means we are doing what? We are overfeeding the fish. And the fish will not grow bigger. The fish will be stunting because of constipation. You want them to grow. Now they are failing even to grow because you overfeed them and the fish are constipated and the stomachs are swelling. Like the stomach of the fish has to be flat all the time, flat. But you find the stomach is big, swelling. That is constipation. In a pond, the signs that we are overfeeding are 1, the bloating of the stomach. 2, if after feeding we still have feed floating on top, we have uneaten food still floating on top, it's a sign that we are overfeeding the fish. 3, if the feed is sinking, we throw the feed and the fish is failing to eat the feed, it just sinks at the bottom. It's a sign that we are overfeeding the fish. So overfeeding, the fish will be stunted. It will not grow the way we think. It will not grow. We also have the underfeeding, where we don't give them enough food. We underfeed the fish. How are we going to know? To know that we are underfeeding the fish, number 1, eyes of the fish are sunken. The eyes are entering into the socket. Number 2, the head of the fish is bigger than the body. 3, fish has slow activity. It's moving very slowly, sluggish. The third point is very important. You will see that there is a trailing white stool. Have you seen this before? Monga muchila so. It's called a trailing white stool. The moment you see that, it's a sign we are under feeding the fish. This is caused by 2 factors. Because first one is underfeeding, alright? The second one, it might be a parasite. How do you test? You get this white stool, put it in a cup of water, then observe it. So if I'm seeing that it is shaking a bit, so it's shaking, monga things are moving around the stool, it means it is a parasite. Mopondi umo, we have a disease. So if I get this stool and put on a plate of water or in a cup of water, then as I look at it, I'm not seeing any movement or shaking. No, it's just still. It means it is underfeeding. So underfeeding results in poor growth because the fish is not eating enough. And if we continue to underfeed it, remember it will be stunted. The art of feeding, the way or how to feed the fish. Some are not feeding a bunch. For you, feeding is a smaller job which you are giving a worker to do. Already you are making a big mistake. The best person to feed the fish is you, the owner. Because if the worker is failing to feed the fish appropriately, the size of the fish is impacted. They don't know how to feed them. So you find we have a skewed growth. So we need the fish to have a uniform growth. So on skewed growth, you find that few fish are bigger and some are smaller. Skewed growth means that some fish are too small, some are very big in the same pond. Comes about because of poor feeding habits. The art of feeding, we don't know how to feed the fish. So we are feeding only in the feeding area because the pond has a feeding area. The area where we are seeing more fish is the feeding area. In that feeding area is the aggressive fish which you are seeing there. The bullies are the ones there. The rest of the fish are scared to come to the feeding area. They are there at the end of the pond. So if our concentration is on this fish that I am seeing, then at the end of the harvest we have skewed growth. Is in school, is in his loan. And already the farmer is losing money because the money of the farmer is all the fish should grow same size big. So if some are very small and some are very big, already it's a loss for us. So meaning that the job of feeding the fish is a critical one. It must be given unto a serious worker, a serious and committed individual. You feed the fish around the whole pond. Then on a windy day, you can't feed around the pond because the wind will blow away there. So if wind is blowing from this side to this side, I'll stand here, I'll throw the feed. And the wind will be like a transporter. It pushes the feed on top of the water and the fish will be following it, eating right up to the end. Ensure that all fish is fed. That is very important. We need all the fish to be the same size, big, and not these are small and these are big. Already we lose money. Money is in the size of the fish and we need all the fish in the pond to be big. And that is on how the feeding is done. Seed that we plant is fingerling. If the seed is poor, the harvest will also be poor. Hence the importance of understanding and knowing and buying the best seed for our fish ponds. How are you going to identify the best fingerlings? By sight. The first thing is don't buy fingerlings anyhow. Buy from reputable hatcheries which have already a reputation. Go to hatcheries which are known that these are producers of good fingerlings. Number 2, fingerlings which are good will look a bit dark and not pale. So as you look at fingerlings, they are looking a bit darkish, blackish. They are whitish. Avoid fingerlings which have a white powder on them. So if you see there is a white stuff or powder or flowers, sometimes it's like flowers and they are whitish, avoid those fingerlings. They have a fungal disease. That fungal disease dangerous, kills the fish. It attaches itself on the head and on the bodies of the fish, called saprolaginiasis. It is bad. So if you have this disease, the best is to buy potassium permanganate in all the chemists there. It's the best to use. You get 10 grams of that and you put the fingerlings and put it buffer cool and they are treated. 2 days only, the white stuff on their bodies will be falling away. Of course, if there's no money, then use it. The consort does the magic. Alright, so never buy the mixed sexy fingerlings, male and female. Don't buy those. Those are fingerlings to go and restock rivers and lakes where we have unlimited space. Fish will be breeding and there's no issue because space is unlimited. The pond, it has a limited space. And when the fish are breeding, there won't be enough space of growth, and your fish at harvest will be small things like this. And you lose oil. That's why? Because you bought the mixed sex fingerlings. Those ones you don't buy. Buy the sex reversed male fingerlings.
Just on that one, for the sex reversed fingerlings, we have tried to have faith. I think reputable companies failed us. The last year, we found that most of the farmers have got babies in their ponds. Even I had 2 ponds that had half big and half small with a lot of babies. And yet we had faith that these are reputable companies. So how can Zacoso help us with that? Okay. We need them to improve.
The observation is correct and true. We have a challenge in the country on fingerlings. That I can assure you, we do have a challenge. It's one area where we need to invest more. Even on the quantities of fingerlings, it's still a challenge. Farmers have to wait in the queue to buy fingerlings. So it's true, it's an area that we need to. Again, it's the lack of skill. At times, you find that in one hatchery, the expert in fingerling is Muntumos. Who really is the expert, especially in the use of this? This is a hormone which does the sex reversing. If this expert is not around, in terms of the dosage of this solution, we advise as follows. If you give us the names of the hatchery, the cooperative, we write to them officially and copy the ministry. The moment we copy the Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries, they are closed. It's a big crime. You can even go to court. You have evidence in the pond. Zambia has waters, both surface waters and underground waters, which must be used for aquaculture. God, Yahweh, Elohim made Zambia to be a fish basket of the region. And this mission, we will never give up until the goal is achieved. Zambia should feed the SADC region and beyond SADC. That goal will be achieved because we have the will and our government is solidly behind us until we benefit and grow this economy through fish farming.